Welcome to episode 48 of Generation Gap Book Reviews. I'm Christy the mom,
And I'm Lena the daughter.
and this episode we are going to review the
Anne of Green Gables.
classic children's book, Anne of Green Gables, written by...
Sorry, I stole your thunder. Ellen Montgomery.
And it's a classic, so, it seems like silly to talk about how we came across this book, but I will at least say that I did not read this when I was younger. I didn't read this until...
Nor did I. No, I'm joking.
That's really... I did not read this until about 7 years ago. And because there's a lot of classics that I did not read, even children's classics or classics that a lot of readers read
Yeah.
when I was younger. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you for sure. But I have a sister who is crazy over not just this book, this series, but the author in general.
The author had a lot of issues.
Yes, she did. She had a lot of issues.
Interesting that Aunt Sarah is so interested.
Like to the degree of wanting to read her...
diaries, which had probably a lot of dark things.
Yeah.
She was something.
But she's so into these books, the series. This book and the series that follows it, that her and her husband they have 4 children, and all of them have at least one of their names, first or middle, is from a character in this series. The Anne of Green Gables the synopsis is fairly simple. Anne is an orphan. She's 11 when the book starts. She is taken in by a brother and sister who are basically looking for an orphan boy to help them work. This is in Canada, and
Prince Edward Island,
Canada, and it's
Avonlea.
So this book was written, published, takes place basically around the turn of the century.
Yeah.
1900, not 2000. And so this brother and sister, Matthew and Marilla Cuthbert, are looking for help on their I don't know if it's on their property. I don't think it's a farm exactly. A homestead, kind of?
Green Gables.
Well, yes, but I mean, how would you classify it? It's
I guess
it's kind of like a farm, basically.
Yeah.
And a gable is a part of it's like a part of a roof of a house.
They specifically want help with the farm, so... Oh, the roof of their house is green. That's why it's Green Gables. Oh my gosh, I never knew that because I never knew what gables were.
Well, when I was in high school, I read a book called The House of the Seven Gables.
Seven Gables?
I could not tell you what happened in that book because I really didn't understand it when I was reading it, and I kind of skimmed it a lot. But I did know that the house had 7 gables, and I knew that was, at least at some point while I was reading it, I realized that was talking about the roof of the house. Anyway, it's like the sharp points, like this kind of thing in a house. Anyway.
Like the vertexes?
Anyway, so that's the synopsis, pretty simple. Lena.
Yes?
What did you like about this book?
I thought it was a good book. Wait.
Well, okay, but what specifically made it a good book?
It's like that kind of like innocent kind of like realism for
innocent realism.
Does that make sense?
I mean, I get what you're going for because I've read the book, but I don't know that I could tell you what innocent realism meant otherwise.
It has an innocence to it.
Okay.
And like
charm.
It's just kind of you read it to me apparently like years ago, but like the Great Illustrated Classics version.
Yes, I read the Great Illustrated Classics version to you, and then we went on to read Anne of Avonlea, but we had to read the real thing because there was.
But then we never actually.
And then we never kept going. But Anne of Avonlea was harder to get through because it was the real thing, and there's a lot of detail in these books. So.
Yeah. But one thing I will say, I listened to Anne of Green Gables a couple months ago, and it's just easy to just kind of go along with. Because I'd also just listened to Anne of Avonlea, and I feel like it's just like a thing that you can just kind of listen to and not have to be so in tune to it, because it's just kind of there.
I mean, it's written about a child from when she's 11 till around I think 16, and it's the story of her growing up. I mean, it's a coming of age story.
Yeah.
And she gets into pickles.
Pickles? Oh, yeah. I was like, I forgot that was a thing.
I don't remember her getting into any pickles.
I forgot that was a thing, so I was like, pickles?
She gets into trouble. Sometimes she makes bad decisions, and sometimes she just messes up. Like, it's completely accidental. But
true.
That's what, a good amount of the story is, like, just different things that happen as she's growing up.
And trying to figure it out.
So it's simple. But yet, it's also not that simple because there's a lot of description. There's a lot of... when she kind of goes on sometimes at length in the in her talking, actually, not just the narration, about the places that she likes in the woods,
Yeah,
flowers,
the
stuff like
Lake of
that.
Shining Waters
Yeah.
and
She gives it
whatnot.
everything has a name. But she has a very active
Very
imagination,
active, yeah.
and that comes out very much in the book.
And she is pretty naive during the story. And that's kind of rude, isn't it?
What do you mean? She's a fictional character. You don't really have to worry too much about being rude to her.
hmm No, she just has a air of like innocence and
And
stuff.
naivete.
Naivete.
She's a very fiery spirit. I realized while I was reading the book, I remember that I enjoyed reading some of her monologues. She'd go on at length. I
hmm
always okay. So one of the things I really like about the book is she could go on at length, and then like when she's talking to Matthew.
hmm
So Matthew is an older gentleman who is the one who actually went and picked her up when they decided to get this orphan, and they wanted a boy, ended up with a girl. Marilla, the sister, not the wife, the sister was ready to send
Her back.
her back, but Matthew was like, well, then maybe we should, give it a try. Matthew is my favorite character in the book.
hmm
And one of the things I remember loving about the book was she'd go on at length about something, and to him, and he would just end with, well, now I don't know, or something like, because he's a very, very
He's very
quiet,
quiet. He doesn't really
stoic.
know
He doesn't really, and
how
and
to.
and he didn't have a lot of book learning or whatever. So she'll talk and talk and talk and talk, and he'll just this one little short answer, and
Like,
I
oh
love
yeah,
it. It was
yeah.
just this great dynamic to me.
Yeah. I remember noticing that too.
But I also felt like even though I enjoyed some of like her monologues and stuff, if
Sometimes they
I talked
drag.
to her in real life, if I was around her in real life, she'd probably drive me up the wall because I'd be like, "Do you ever shut up?"
Wow.
Oh my gosh, though, she would talk and talk and talk.
She does talk a lot though.
So like I said, in the story, I don't mind it. I enjoy it, but in real life, I would be like, just give me a I need to be over here for a few minutes by
Didn't
myself.
you?
Leave me alone. Anything else that you specifically want to say you liked about it?
I mean, characters in general. I feel like it's an easy book to enjoy. I feel like. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. I think.
Is there anything you didn't like about the book?
Not really.
So about the only thing I think I could say is, as I mentioned, there was a lot of description at times that I would just sort of skim. And when I was listening to the audiobook, it was kind of nice that I didn't have to read through all the description about
Yeah.
some of that. I wouldn't call it a bad thing. It's not my preference to have a lot of description. The
Mhm.
other thing, and this isn't necessarily a fault with the book, but I would still put it in this category. Anne I mentioned her fiery spirit. She tends to throw a fit now and then when she doesn't get her way.
Oh yes.
Well,
It's
when
true.
I read this was 9 years ago. Nope, 7 years ago. So you'd have been 9 years old, approximately.
Mhm.
And at the time, you also tended to throw
Oh.
pretty major meltdown fits when you didn't get your way.
I was a jerk.
And so the way that Anne would act was very, very realistic, but in a way that would make me cringe because I was dealing with that myself. So it's not a bad thing with the book, but it was a
I
bad thing
have
for
to.
me.
I'm so sorry for being a jerk. I'm so sorry for being a jerk.
so, so what do you rate this book?
5 stars.
I do too. I mean,
Woohoo.
the issue, anything that I would have put in the I didn't like it as much was A, not exactly the book's fault, or B, just not enough. It was not enough to even lower to half a star. It was a really enjoyable book overall. And who do you recommend it to?
People. I haven't said that in a while. Figured it was time to say it again. I feel like you really could read this like 9 and above. Maybe even 8. Who knows? It depends.
I think 8-year-olds might have an issue with understanding some of it because it's such an older time.
That's true, yeah.
But that makes it a good book to read with
it's
your
a good,
kids.
yeah.
I think a lot of
Reading.
people stop reading to their kids when their kids are old enough to read for themselves, or maybe a little bit after that. But we didn't always stick with it very well. But I remember reading to you even when you could, of course, read for yourself,
Yeah.
because it was still something nice to do together, and we could talk. Like I could help you understand what was being
Yeah.
read. So
You should still do that. No, I'm joking.
you don't want me to read to you now.
No, I don't. I can read to myself.
You read out loud to yourself already.
Yeah, because I would love to be an audiobook narrator. It would be just so much fun.
Anyway,
Uh,
speaking of audiobooks, then we can, because I think that this book is timeless, and I think any age, any
mhm.
is low enough that can understand it at all.
The
Through
1-year-old.
older people could really enjoy
Yeah.
it. So speaking of audiobooks, then going back to that,
Mhm.
we have both listened to the audiobook for this
Well, the
first
Barbara
book.
Caruso.
There are probably
Several
half a dozen
narrators.
versions of this narrated by different people because it is old. It's a classic. We both listened to the narration by Barbara Caruso, and I quite enjoyed it. I thought she did a really good job.
Mhm. She took a little bit of getting used to. She wasn't she didn't always like this is probably her style of doing it. She had different voices for some people, but sometimes she would talk for some guy, like some other student that's friends with Anne or something, and they just didn't sound different. So then I'd be like, "Wait, who's talking here?" But that was the only issue I really had with her. Cuz I did get to the point where I was just like, it's just like I feel like she has this soothing voice.
It was a voice that worked really well for a classic like this. I felt like.
Mhm.
I also listened to her narration of Little Women, and it was good too. So
Yeah.
I think that's actually Little Women I listened to before I listened to any of this, and when I saw that she narrated this too, I was like, ooh, I want to listen to this. And I think I struggled to find all of the books because I've listened to the whole series. I've read the whole series and I've listened to the whole series. Well, not the whole series. I've listened to the first six, and then it goes on from there to like a new generation, and I didn't enjoy the rest of the books after the first one as much because a lot of what I liked about the first one is gone once she grows up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I did not read or listen to seven and eight, but six up through six I read and listened to, and I think I did was not able to find Barbara Caruso for all of them, and I was sad when I couldn't
Sorry.
because she really did a good job. And okay, so I haven't watched any adaptations of this, but you have.
I don't remember the movie, but I'm pretty sure overall people like the movie more. I don't know if there's more than one movie,
I
but
think there's a
I don't know which movie then.
between movies and TV, there's like at least three, I think.
Anne with an E is not a very good adaptation. It's good,
But it doesn't
but
stick.
it's
This is not
older.
true to the. So it's old. Oh,
It's older as in
more grown up
yeah,
like
more grown up. There's
audience.
the biggest issue I have are there are some LGBTQ characters, but that was never mentioned the in the books, which they obviously just put it in because why not? But and it's not there are some scenes that are similar, but it's not that close to the book. But I do still like it.
Looks like there was a movie from 1985 and a made-for-TV trilogy in
I
2016,
think
and then some older
1985.
stuff that is not really probably isn't around anymore.
1985 one is the one that I've heard is like people like the best.
Oh, and that's not a movie. Sorry, that's a miniseries, the
Oh,
85 one.
well, that's the one I've heard people like the
It looks
best.
like there is no. Okay, there's a movie trilogy, a miniseries, and then the TV show.
Okay,
Darker, more psychological reinvention, it says on Google AI for the Anne with an E.
that works.
Okay. So other than the show though, you really can't comment much on the other
No,
stuff.
I just say that it seems like people really enjoy the 1985
Okay.
miniseries.
I think that's it for Anne of Green Gables then.
Now we're taking a break.
Teardrop.
For summer. Teardrop. We're taking a break for summer. We'll probably be back in like August or September, maybe, approximately.
We have some pretty busy times coming up in the
Oh
next month or
yes.
so, and so basically this is the end of season 2.
Yeah, even though it's a really awkward ending area, 48 instead of 50 or something. But we can't be perfect.
I'm not really sure there's any kind of standard for anything like this. So
Yeah.
so
But when we come back, we will be reviewing The Raven. Not by Edgar Allan Poe, though. By Mike Napa. Thank you very much for listening in.
until next time, I'm Christy,
And I'm Lena.
and this is
Generation
Generation Gap
Gap
Book
Book
Reviews.
Reviews.